Chulane Teller of Tales versus Yeva Nature's Herald, Selvala Explorer Returned, and Ephara God of the Polis. 3 mana in the opening hand is not bad at all. We've got all of our colours as well, so we will keep. Just a couple of lands coming in tapped for our opponents. We've got double green in the hand, so let's go for Temple Garden. The first spell of the game, a Scrib Ranger. Return a forest you control to its owner's hand to untap a target creature. No doubt that will be aimed at our opponent's commander. Then an Emerald Medallion for Yeva, so after another green land comes down, we may well be seeing Yeva next turn. Let's just... yeah, we don't need to worry about Walking Ballista just yet. So let's play out the land and pass the turn. In fact, we're not going to Cyclonic Rift or Dispel anything either, so we'll tap out and pass. Thought Vessel for Ephara, along with a Strip Mine, that's worth noticing. Then a 1000-year Elixir, setting up for Selvala, no doubt coming out next turn. And they'll be able to get a couple of activations off of that. Lightning Greaves for Yeva, and they have not managed to get into another green source. They too have gotten a Strip Mine going though. Well, we've got nothing else to do on turn 3. Why don't we just go in for a Mana Rock with our Wargate? And we're probably going to get some card draw next turn off of Selvala. So hopefully we can draw into some lands as the turn goes round again. Another colourless mana for Ephara, so don't think we're going to be seeing Ephara just yet. It is an Oblivion Stone. If they get into another mana next turn, they'll be able to activate that and kill off all of the permanents in play, or the non-land permanents, that is, which does include their own Thought Vessel. Deciding to play Selvala into the Oblivion Stone anyway, we draw into Rhystic Study, and thanks to the Scrib Ranger and the ability on the 1000-year Elixir, they have been able to tap this down 3 times, so revealing from Ephara a Plains, a Trinket Mage, and a Seal of Cleansing. We've obviously drawn into Rhystic Study, Avacyn's Pilgrim, and Shrieking Drake. And Yeva has revealed some lands, all colourless apart from the Desert, which comes in tapped. That's pretty unlucky from our opponent. Then they go for Rex Sage onto our Mana Crypt. Yeah, don't know about that when there's an O-Stone in play. Then dropping down a Wood Elves. Thaumatic Compass for Yeva. And then a Beast Within onto the Oblivion Stone, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. What do we do here then? We'll just go Rhystic Study, I think. And then we're going to have to discard. I think we get rid of Walking Ballista and Dispel. Ephara managing to get into that additional piece of coloured mana, so down comes Ephara. And they decide to give us the card draw, as so many Magic Online players do. Then going for Wayfarer's Bauble, so that's yet another card draw. And we get into another combo piece in Food Chain, so can we do anything with the Food Chain currently? We don't have any of our exile creatures is the problem. But we need our commander in play anyway, and we need to be making some more mana than this as well. Going for a couple of activations on Selvala, revealing a Talisman of Progress and a Merchant Scroll from Ephara, Nykthos and Krosan Grip from Yeva, 1000-year Elixir and a Mox Diamond from us. We will encourage our opponent to put mana into that, but they do not. We draw into another Mana Dork. Then going for the third activation, we do get into that Exile Creature effect that goes so well with Food Chain. We can develop infinite mana with that. Our other opponents have revealed a land, and there's a Rhystic Study. And now going for Terastodon because they generated so much mana from the tap abilities. Hopefully they're not going after lands here. Speaking of lands, we finally draw into one. Yeah, they are going for lands, trying to screw everyone's colours up. So going after our Tundra, our opponent's Azorius land as well, and a basic forest. So I think we all know who the enemy at the table is now. I think at this point we need to just shock in the breeding pool and play out our Eternal Scourge. Okay, we draw into Mystic Remora off of the Rhystic Study because Boreal Druid is coming into play for the Celestia player now. And because Ephara had a creature come into play this turn, thanks to that Terrestodon, they will draw a card. Yeva managing to get into a Prismatic Vista. We know that they've got a Forest in hand because they went for Thaumatic Compass last turn. Now going for Krosan Grip onto the 1,000-year Elixir. That sounds like a good idea. Would be good if we could get rid of Scrib Ranger as well. Perhaps should have played out the Walking Ballista for 2 mana. Then a Lightning Greaves going onto the Elephant. Wouldn't have thought that would swing in. It is not. We get into another land. We've got 4 mana here if we need it. Well, let's play the Verdant Catacombs anyway. Then we could go 1,000-year Elixir, but then we couldn't play our Dorks. We could set up for next turn, play out some Dorks, tap them for mana straight away. I think I just like going for Eternal Scourge, to be honest. So let's crack the Verdant Catacombs, grab a Tropical Island, and we'll see if any of our opponents recognise Food Chain or not. Leave our Elephant back, and then we're just going to have to get rid of some stuff here. If we keep Eternal Witness in hand, then it doesn't necessarily matter what we discard here. The Allurin goes infinite with Shrieking Drake. We'll get rid of Rift, and the Cloudstone Curio, the Royal. Tatyova's going to be too slow, I think. Mystic Remora is as well. We're getting enough card draw as is. And then 2 more. 1,000-year Elixir is going to be too slow as well, I think. So let's ditch that. And we'll get rid of Mox Diamond as well. Now the thing we're looking to do here is going for Food Chain next turn. That is an enchantment. We can exile a creature we control to add X mana of any one colour, where X is the CMC of the exile creature plus 1. And Eternal Scourge can be played from exile, so we would get 4 green mana for instance, play it for 3, and then we're left with 1 floating. And that's the other creature that we can do the same thing with, Misthallow Griffin. We got that from our Rhystic Study not being paid for. There's going to be another Rhystic Study to pay into. A lot of card draw going on this game. And they decided to pay for the tax that time. But yeah, either Misthallow Griffin or Eternal Scourge goes infinite with Food Chain, and we can generate infinite coloured mana. And then play out our entire hand pretty much, and with our infinite mana we can play out our commander and go infinite with Allurin and Shrieking Drake if we want to. Might be an idea to go in for Food Chain next turn and try and generate as much blue mana as possible, as quickly as possible, and then always float that so that if anyone goes after Food Chain, we can now counter with our mana drain. Now Vitalise from our opponent, untapping all the creatures they control, so they're going to get another activation off with the Selvala. They've put a Stuffy Doll and a Nature's Law into Yeva's hand so far, and then a Stonecloaker and a Vedalken Orrery for Ephara. And we have Elvish Mystic and Autumn's Veil in our hand. Now casting Roar of the Car, untap all creatures you control, just going for as many activations with their commander as possible. Alright, a Force of Will isn't nothing. Yeah, and that actually goes nicely with our Misthallow Griffin. So if we see anything that we don't like from our opponent, we can use this to exile a blue card from our hand, and then we'll be able to play Misthallow Griffin from exile with the Food Chain, so that works out quite nicely. Quirion Ranger coming in now. That is yet another untap effect. Our opponent's clearly trying to chain off to something here. Might be a Crater Hoof or something like that, so we're just going to allow them to do whatever it is they're trying to do, and then when they try and cast a big bomb, we will counter it. Hopefully we can counter it. revealing even more stuff. Copy artifact. A reclamation sage there. And we've gotten into some lands and a Sol Ring. Dauntless Bodyguard being cast now. And we've gotten into a Stonecloaker from our Rhystic Study. Umbral Mantle. The equipped creature has 3 on tap. It gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn. And we've drawn into Lab Maniac, another win condition for us. I mean, our opponent might be able to go pretty much infinite with the Umbral Mantle, but I am going to allow it here. Because as it stands right now, I don't really know how they can win currently. Alright, Ephara deciding to scoop it up. They might see something that I don't. Just going to fast forward all this now, and I'll show you the cards that were revealed at the end of this chain. Because I think this is going to take a while. Okay, it looks like the 23-25 Selvala is finally done chaining off there. They have 52 cards left in their library. We've got 46 and Yeva has 63. And hopefully you can all see what is in each of the graveyards there. Finally, a second green source in play simultaneously for the Yeva player. They go for Nature's Law. And I don't think they paid for the Rhystic Study. I don't suppose it really matters at this point, whilst we've got 35 cards in hand. Then a Reclamation Sage. And that, correctly, goes on the Umbral Mantle. Then a Darksteel Plate. And again, not paying into the Rhystic Study. And it looks like that's the turn. So we need to see if we can try and go off here. The problem is we need to try and sieve through all this stuff we've got in hand. We've got some Dorks in hand. We've got... That's the one that you exile something with. Non-artifact, non-land. Probably put the Kraytooth Behemoth under that, so let's go for casting that. Our opponents are tapped out as well, which is noteworthy, so if we can go off here, then there's even less chance that they're going to do something about it. Put the Kraytooth Behemoth under that, so that will tap for green mana. And then we go, I think I saw, yeah, we'll go for Command Tower. Then there is a Sol Ring somewhere here, I think. Then we go Sol Ring into Food Chain. And with Food Chain, we're going to make some blue mana, exile the Eternal Scourge. We get 4 mana, and we've got the blue mana held up for our mana drain. And we've got the Force of Will held up as well, so we're not necessarily going to have our opponents really do anything about this game. All we're doing is using 3 of the 4 mana produced by the Food Chain. And we've got infinite coloured mana here. So the first thing we want to do here is get up to enough mana to go for our commander. Hopefully our opponents decide to auto-yield to all of this, make it much quicker. Alright, our opponent deciding to react to that and go for the Scrib Ranger. So let's just allow them to untap here. Now it seems as though they're maybe trying to look for an answer. Revealed that time was a Duskwatch Recruiter, Jiraga Tree Speaker. And we got into, all the way over here, another land. Right, so now, finally, we've got enough mana to go for Chulane. Now the Quirion Ranger going to untap Selvala again because apparently Selvala hasn't done enough this game. Then tapping again to reveal a brushland. Archetype of Endurance. Yes, Archetype of Endurance. And a Gataxian Probe for us. They're floating 4 mana as well, which is noteworthy. Then we'll make some green mana to get some of our dorks into play. That will trigger Chulane because we are casting a creature. So let's just drop an island. The more blue mana we have, the better. And then we'll get our Noble Hierarch into play. We do have Concordant Crossroads in play as well to give all creatures haste, so we will be able to tap these mana dorks for mana. Go for another island in response to Chulane. And we've gotten into a Spell Pierce as well, which might be useful. Might be that there's a Krosan Grip in the hand over here. We know most of what's in their hand thanks to having a look at the graveyard and the reveal zone. Anyway, let's carry on with this food chain. Playing Ganavesin's Pilgrim, we've gotten into a couple of fetches as well, because we cast the Eternal Scourge and the Dork. Then we go around to food chain again, we'll get the Birds of Paradise in. Get Breeding Pool down, we'll bring that in untapped. We might need the mana. I don't think the 2 life is going to mean much. Get another fetch down in response to the birds. Then we've got Arbor Elf over there, that's another dork. The Yeva player deciding to scoop it. And who can blame them, this is taking a hell of a long time. I don't feel too guilty about making the Celestia player wait, but the other 2 players clearly weren't after a long grindy match like this one. This is really the type of deck that you want to play in paper, because it's way too much clicking to do in Magic Online. Play out the Wall of Roots now as well. Just managed to float 2 mana with our food chain. And I don't know what we've drawn into. Yeah, we've got some more counter magic. We'll just get that tap land out. Now let's try and get rid of some lands from the deck. We'll crack that. And we've got a Savannah. We've got 1 more basic forest in the deck as well. So we might have to grab that with this one. Just trying to thin out the deck a little bit at this point. Nope, we've got a Shockland. We can get that in untapped. And let's go for the crack on Misty Rainforest as well. And we'll get our last forest. Now, I don't know if I actually want to go for Alluring because our opponent might have stuff that they can cast as well, which might help them. So let's just carry on with our food chain play. We now have no lands to play. We've only got, I think it's like 30 in the deck. Might have to up that to around 32, 33. This is more of a C EDH mana base. Then we'll go Bloom Tender. And we can get down the City of Brass. And then I think it's safe to get down Concordant Crossroads. And let's crack the Flooded Strand. I think we need to go in for Intruder Alarm and we can start showing that interaction off instead of food chain the whole time. Hopefully our opponent sticks it out. We stuck it out through their turn. No more basic planes in the deck. Alright, yes, so let's go. We'll tap down all of our mana dorks before we get down the Intruder Alarm. Idyllic Tutor will take us into said Intruder Alarm. Only got 21 cards left in the deck now. Let's get this Intruder Alarm cast. That is, creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. That does include our opponent's commander. But we're looking to mill ourselves anyway, so we're not really worried about that. Do we have Labman? I think I saw him previously. Yes, there he is. So let's go 1, 2 and 3. Play out the Laboratory Maniac. I think it's safe to play out Lab Maniac while we've got Counterspell back up. And that does count as casting a creature, so we'll play our Prismatic Vista. And Intruder Alarm untaps all creatures. I don't mind if our opponent helps us along with their commander. Deciding to float a bunch of mana with the Elvish Archdruid. I thought that came in last turn actually. Oh, it has haste, yeah, of course, from the Concordant Crossroads, so our opponent is going to be able to generate a bunch of mana here. It's all green though, so yeah, I don't really think they can do much of anything. Just to play it safe, we'll tap down a bunch of mana and we'll take our opponent's commander off of our opponent. And as you can see, our mana dorks are tapping for a lot of mana now. This is similar to the the artifact that was recently banned. What is that one called? The one that untaps artifacts every time you cast a spell or cast an artifact spell. I can't remember exactly what it did. I play it in Duretti, I know that much. But we'll get the Gilded Drake out here so that we can steal our opponent's commander. They are going to float some mana and activate their commander in response. Then that will trigger Intruder Alarm. Let's put that on the stack first so that we can steal our opponent's commander before it untaps. And there we go, we now have control of our opponent's commander. So no more card advantage for them. We do have a land as well. Okay, let's drop the mana dork here. We don't have to worry about milling ourselves because we've got the Laboratory Maniac in play. We've also got the Jace as backup as well, so we will cast him before we draw our empty library. Just as backup. Tapping down all our dorks again before we cast something else. Let's just go for a constant Shrieking Drake now. I think we've got enough mana to play around with. We don't need the food chain anymore because we've got a couple of combos in play here. We can just go Shrieking Drake, untap all of our dorks, tap them all down, and play the Shrieking Drake again, because Shrieking Drake is going to bounce itself here. Our opponent continuing to tap the Elvish Archdruid in response to the Intruder Alarm. And just to play it safe, I'm going to try and go for a silence here as well. Just so that maybe our opponent will F6. Yeah, so we've gone for silence. We are going to win this turn, so now they actually can't cast any spells. Going for our Shrieking Drake yet again. Yeah, now that we've cast the silence, our opponent sees that they can't do anything. I don't really know what they were aiming for there. They had a lot of mana, 12 cards in hand. And it's really Laboratory Maniac they need to get rid of. I think they've used Beast Within, haven't they? Or someone used a Beast Within at some point, I can't remember. Maybe they have a means of getting rid of Laboratory Maniac. But we do have the Jace that we can draw into as well. So we do have a backup for that. Plus we have the all the counter magic in hand as well. Yeah, our opponent's being a good sport about it, I think there. Yeah, what we were looking to do there was keep playing and bouncing the Shrieking Drake back to our hand. Every time we play a creature, that obviously triggers Chulane, so we can get lands out. And it also untaps all of our creatures, thanks to the Intruder Alarm. So we can tap them down for mana in response to that. Then they untap. We can use the blue mana to play Shrieking Drake forever, because we keep playing it and bouncing it back to our hand, triggering our Chulane and Intruder Alarm infinitely. Failing that, we can go for the earlier combo, which is infinite mana with Food Chain and the Eternal Scourge, or the Sphinx that I showed you before, and that is infinite coloured mana, but it only goes on creatures. Luckily, we can get a hell of a lot going with just creature mana, thanks to all of our mana dorks. One of the combos was the Intruder Alarm that we got into, and thanks to our commander as well, we can play lots of lands and use that mana to cast non-creature spells. And we've got the free counter magic in Force of Will. We've got Pact of Negation as well, and that counts as nice backup. And basically just want to draw into an empty library, draw all the cards in our library, and then go for Lab Maniac or Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, and that will win us the game. If we don't like the idea of drawing into an empty library for some reason, maybe those 2 combo pieces have been gotten rid of by our opponent, then in this case we could have gone for Eternal Witness onto Crater Hoof Behemoth, and we had enough creatures in play to probably take out 3 opponents, I don't know. Depends how much life is gained. I know that the Celestia player ended up at over 100 life there, so maybe not. But we've got infinite mana, and we've also got the Walking Ballista to dump that infinite mana into for infinite damage, so that's why that's in the deck. Like I said before, this is a little bit of a trigger-heavy combination of cards to be playing on Magic Online. It's just lucky that our opponent, our Celestia opponent at least, decided to play it out until the end. But if you're just sat there playing solitaire Magic on Magic Online, I doubt you're going to have many people allow you to play through the whole thing. At least in paper Magic, you can explain some combinations of cards and just fast forward through the whole thing and say, right, I do this, this and this. But that's not really possible on Magic Online. So that's how the deck functions. We were struggling to draw into lands. I tried to make this more of a EDH mana base with Moxes and Mana Crypts and a low number of lands, but I think we might need to put, maybe go up to 32, 33 lands, something like that, because we're quite low on 30 at the minute. Anyway, I've rambled a lot for the end of a video. I don't normally go on this long, so hopefully you all enjoyed this Chulane game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.